Hi everyone, it's Jay from Mitoso Crafts. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to our channel. Today I'm hopping along with the Creating Kindness Design Team video hop with the theme of summer fun. I decided to use the soft pastels assortment to create an easy mountain scene using the Mountain Air stamp set. I'll be using the birds and just the trees there, and I'm pairing it with the Days to Remember stamp set. I'll be using the numbers and the sentiment happy birthday. And for the soft pastels, I'll be using the Mossy Meadow, Coastal Cabana, and Granny Apple Green. And today I will be blending it with sponge daubers. The inks I'll be stamping with are Memento, Evening Evergreen, Soft Succulent, and Smoky Slate. So for the mountains, I'll be using a piece of scrap paper or copy paper and just tearing that up to create my mountains. And I'm using it as a stencil. So just do a couple per side and then go up again. So using all of that edge. You could also do a couple more on the other side if preferred, and then go down. And then just kind of like a small hill for the trees to be grounded on. So that one I'll be using. So you'll need something to protect your table. For card stock, I'll be using basic thick white for my card base and basic white, just the normal one, which is 1 centimeter smaller than the card front or 3/8 of an inch smaller. Now, I decided to use basic white because of the soft blending of the pastels using the daubers. So we'll use these, and the way I'm gonna apply the soft pastel, so I'm gonna use the Mossy Meadow first, and I'm actually gonna add that on the scrap piece of paper. Now once that's added on, I'm just gonna use my dauber and blend it down onto my card layer. And I'm just adding that color in. Now you can go down a bit more and spread the powder even further, but I'm just gonna layer that down and then just blow off any excess. So you have a really subtle mountain there. And then for the next one, I'm just gonna add this on slightly lower, and again I'm just gonna add Mossy Meadow and blend that in quite lightly. You can do any directions or in a circular motion as long as you're doing it gently, and the powder will be quite light on there. Okay, and then blow that off the excess again, and then finally along the bottom here I'm just gonna add there and a bit lighter. So if you have any excess, just again, if you want it lighter, don't put as much as, yeah, don't press too hard on the soft pastel on your piece of scrap paper. And that is pretty much my mountain scene. So to build that up, I will add some color on the sky and along the foreground as well. So with that, I will use Coastal Cabana. So I'm gonna add my Coastal Cabana on my paper, and again the same um, technique as before. So I'm just going in and adding that onto my card layer. Now again, you can add more as you please or add less if you wanted a lighter or if you want more white to show. We're independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrators based in the UK, so if you live in the UK, France, Germany, Austria, or the Netherlands, you'll be able to purchase current Stampin' Up! Products from our online shop. Do use the current host code, which can be found on our website at mitosocrafts.com to receive any extra gifts from us if your order qualifies in the form of free gems and tutorial bundles. So it might look like that I'm not adding color, but there is color there. I will add some more just so it's a bit more intense, and I'm adding it more towards the right hand side of my scene. And because we're wrapping and blending the soft pastels, it will be sticking more or staying more onto the card layer than when we're applying it on top as is. Okay, so now I have my sky done. I'm gonna add some Granny Apple Green. So just turn this down that way, and I'll use Granny Apple Green down here. So again, same principle, adding that on. And this one, I'm gonna actually add some more onto the mountains. So I'm picking up any excess powders and I'm just adding that on just below the mossy meadow that I've applied. And I'm leaving some white to make it look a little misty as well. So now for some stamping. So I wanted to use the actual days as kind of like my background. So this one is really cool, this design. So you can make your own calendars. The width of the ink pad, so I'm using Smoky Slate, is the same width as where you want to be your calendar. So for July, it's 31 days and it's Saturday. So Saturday is the last week or the last day of the month. So I'm having that at the bottom right. So I normally start my calendars Sunday as the beginning of the week because that's how I work. But you can change that up as well. So I'm just gonna use that for my background and stamp that along the bottom here. So just make sure it's nice and straight, or as straight as possible, because I can't really tell from this angle. You can probably tell more than I can. Yeah, that looks alright. So I just wanted that like so. Now there is so if you know someone or you're giving this to a specific person, you could always use that stamp to then circle the day of their birthday. So that is done. For my trees, I'm gonna stamp it in Evening Evergreen, and I will be covering some of the dates numbers because I want that along the bottom here. So straight down, I'm gonna stamp my sentiment, happy birthday, whilst we're stamping with soft succulent. In this one, I'm just gonna stamp on an off-cut or scrap piece. And I'm just gonna snip that to size. So we're just gonna ground the trees, and going back onto my stencil, I'm gonna use that to ground it. Now, as you can see, the trees, this one's slightly lower, so you don't have to have your hill to align along it. So I'm just gonna have that as my tallest one, so I'm just gonna align that up here. So with this one, I'm gonna add Mossy Meadow again, and then just gonna do the same, darken that a little bit to have that contrast. Just lift that off slightly, that looks okay. Now, I'm just gonna add a bit more granny apple green here just to blend that in. And I'm going to add some shadows on the trees. So again, with the soft pastel, I'm gonna use the kind of like the tip or the point corner, and imagining that the light source is right on the right hand side there. So I'm gonna have my shadows going this way. So I'm just adding that on. And I'm going to add, so I'm just doing that lightly, and I will mix it in with my dauber. Again, this way it kind of like makes it a little bit more subtle, the shadows, but you know it's there, and it adds texture as well to the foreground. So it's a little bit more darker there. Again, you can make it more intense by adding off the layer and then just blending that in. But because we use the tip for the fine which call it, for the trunks, the trunk shadows, and that is that. So finally, we're just gonna finish this off and embellish that a bit more. I'm gonna add the sentiment whilst we're on here, and I'm just gonna add that on using multi-purpose liquid glue. So that is just gonna go add it there. I think in my original I did it with folded mini glue dot, so it's slightly raised a little bit more. And I'm just gonna snip that off. Using the back. So now that's done, I won't need to fix it. Some chalks might still be loose, but because we've done it quite light or blended it with the daubers, most of it have stayed on the card, which is great. So now that I've got that, I will now add my birds because I just wanted to see where things are, the elements, and then I can just add where I want the birds to go. And then wait for that to dry and prepare our card base. So just again take basic white. I'm gonna add baker's twine, so I believe that's crumb cake, and Vera Vanilla, which is from the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. And this I'm actually gonna have two going across the middle there. So if you just fold that in half and use, I'll cut that off. What am I gonna use? Parent tape. Just fold it in half and tear and tape. Just be careful of your birds if it's still not dry. So I'm adding that on top. Oh, actually I quite like that if it's just loose. Nope. I will stick to the plan and I'm just gonna have that along there and then at the back and then turn tape again. And then that's gonna get added on with dimensionals. So I'm just gonna create a bow with the Vera Vanilla Baker's Twine and add that on with folded mini glue dots. And then finish up with the elegant faceted gems on the right hand side just next to the sentiment. And there you have it. That's the finished card, an easy mountain scene using soft pastels and scrap paper. And here's the original from the blog hop, which is identical except for the mountains because I use a different stencil for that. I hope you enjoyed this video and check out the description below for the product links I've used today, as well as the next video in the Creating Kindness video hub. Thanks again for joining me today. Until next time, bye!